Hello and welcome to the Monday Agenda. The Monday Agenda today has paid a visit to the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation, and I'm highly delighted and honored to have this interview with Mr. Joseph Boutique, who is the Executive Director of the Foundation. Mr. Boutique, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Welcome to this office.
Thank you very much. So the Monday Agenda is at your office today. We've heard a lot. The Tanzanians have heard a lot about the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation. Probably, let's spend about 45 minutes to understand what the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation is, your mission, vision, your goals, and understanding what you do so that we have a clear picture of how we are truly honoring Mwalimu.
The Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation. It is a foundation, an organization, a non-government organization established in June 1996.
1996.
1996.
Okay.
It is now 23 years
23
old.
years old.
By Mwalimu himself to do one major thing: to promote peace, unity, people-centered development in Tanzania, in Africa, and the world. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what Mwalimu was. He worked here, he worked in Africa, he worked in the world. And he said when he was establishing this foundation that those three, peace, unity, people-centered development, that's what he himself and the people of this country and the people of Africa and the world, they were working for. The summary, he was summarizing the work he thought he did before he departed. Mm-hmm. That it was those three. He worked for peace, unity, and people-centered development. People-centered development, that means development that comes from the people themselves for their own benefit, using their own resources, the head, and the natural resources and minerals around.
Are we experiencing or encountering challenges towards attaining peace and unity in Africa?
Yes. Africa is going through a transition. Most of the countries in Africa are just over 50 years, apart from, of course, Ethiopia and a few others. But Tanzania now is 58 years old.
Yes.
That's not a very old age for a country. We are going through a transition. We are governed, dominated, exploited for centuries. We went through slave trade and slavery for many, many years. We lost our culture, our traditions for many, many years. And the culture of those people who governed us were always scrambling for wealth, for power, conflict prone. And that is still the picture they are giving us today.
Okay.
So peace is relative. I think Africa is doing very well. There are more countries these days where peace is relatively established. They are relatively stable. It's not what they were in the 1960s or 70s. It's much better today. Even you look at DRC in our region, DRC is quiet now. Mm-hmm. They're still facing a lot of challenges. If you look at West Africa, yes, there are still some problems there in Nigeria and there. But those are Central African Republic and Southern Sudan, Sudan itself now, Misri or Egypt. Those are African countries. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are problems there. But if you look at them, they are actually family problems. Okay. They are family problems. And also there is, of course, the factor of the foreigners. They are interested in what is happening there, and most of them, they don't want peace in Africa. So okay. we have that experience. So I think Africa is struggling. They are aware that they want peace. If you went to the AU, they've established what they call the AU Peace and Security Council. Mm-hmm. They are very busy everywhere. They have so many institutions established for peace. They have Agenda 2063, mm-hmm. a very ambitious agenda for transport and communications, health, education, infrastructure. Mm-hmm. They are aware that African people are poor and they want development. So, and they struggle. They are aware of the their constitutions, human equality, they have a charter. So the instruments and the organs of peace are there. So the practice will take time.
But I'm thinking we have bodies. We have bodies. AU, you've mentioned. We have East Africa Community. We have SADC. And we have peacekeeping missions by the UN. And still, really am focusing on Africa and how, Mwalimu and other founders of the nations in Africa back in the days really struggled to make sure that we have peace in Africa. And are we failing the legacy? Because, that generation is phasing out slowly and gradually. And the next generation has taken over. Are we failing their legacy by, keep allowing disruption in our nations?
No, I don't think leadership these days are failing. They are facing many challenges, but they are not failing. They are aware that peace is necessary for Africa in order to develop,
Correct.
In order to deal with their problems of poverty and education and the rest of it. They are aware. They are aware. The challenges are there. But to develop even a culture, when you talk of Africa, we have 55 states, 54, 55 states.
Yes.
Yeah, established in 1884 by Europeans. And each one of them is a sovereign state.
Correct.
Trying to solve the problems, internal problems of the family of Tanzania, the family of Uganda, the family of Kenya, immediate ones. And then you have to think of cross-border to build unity together, and the foundation that put you together. They are not failing. They are facing greater challenges.
Correct.
Greater challenges now than before, because the challenges are two. One is how to develop, deal with the poverty. Two is how to strengthen the unity.
Correct.
To get Africa to realize, they realize it now, but to realize more and more that in unity there is greater capacity for Africa to solve the challenges they are facing now.
Correct.
And that's what we think you young people should be concentrating on now, to be aware that you cannot be a Munyakyusa and make it. You cannot be Mzanaki like I am and make it. You cannot just continue praising the tribe of Tanzania and the tribe of Kenya and the tribe of Uganda. They are bigger tribes, but these are tribes put together. They are families, yes, but eventually they are tribes put together under these boundaries by the colonists. You cannot remain there and make it. You have to match the Americans, the Chinese,
Correct.
the Japanese, in what? In their unity, but also in their education and their technology. You cannot do it the way we are now without working for greater unity.
The world is now a
the
global
world is
village.
now a global village. It is still a jungle in relation to to ourselves here and Africa and the rest of the world.
Yes.
So unity is necessary, and I want to emphasize, Africa has not failed. Africa is working towards greater unity, greater success. And if all those institutions we have mentioned, that's the evidence. They've created them. Now, to make them effective, use them effectively for greater achievements, that will take time.
Focusing on the foundation and the work, the mission and vision here in Tanzania, promoting peace and promoting unity. How have you been, since 1996? How has the foundation been, faring in Tanzania towards, achieving peace and unity?
I think we've done well. I can say we've done it in 3 stages. The first stage was to consult people once we were established. We went to regions like Mwanza, Shinyanga, Mara. We selected a few regions to talk to the people there at different levels to find out what it is that they wanted to partner with the foundation
Correct.
in doing. They told us, yes, we want education, we want economy, good economy, we want good governance. And so when we came back here, of course, we had already had the first board meeting, and Mwalimu had insisted that he was not satisfied with the achievements made by Tanzania under his leadership.
Correct.
So he left asking a question, where did we go wrong? So the first wrong was to find out what the priorities of the people were. And they said, what is our education? What is our good governance? We are still poor. Tunataka mikopo, and we do not have those loans. So we organized a nationwide dialogue.
Yes.
We organized it, and we've been running it. We're still running it, and that gave us an opportunity to reach out to the people, to talk to them about basically about nationhood principles which make a nation. 2, that self-reliance was necessary. 3, that they should be aware that the government is not able to do everything. So if you're aware that the government cannot do everything for you, then you have to do a lot yourself, but also you have to understand the parameters of your own state. We've been doing that for ages, for those years, and generally, but specifically, we have tackled events or symptoms of conflict, like it happens in Zanzibar, like it is happening here. We've been talking to all sorts of groups, religious groups, civil society, the government itself, all levels. But that one, because of the sensitivity,
Correct.
we've done it very quietly. I think this month or next month we are going out again to the regions to see how we are going to organize our elections to ensure that they are peaceful, fair, transparent. So we're going to do a bit of educating our people in how to ensure that happens, but also we'll be talking to our leadership to make sure that they are going to be accountable and make sure that the elections are going to be free and fair.
I'm trying to have a bit of a bridge, Mr. Butiku. If Mwalimu was alive today, would he have been happy with how the nation, in terms of peace and unity, is at the moment?
Relatively, I think he would have been happy, but even before he departed, even at the formation of the foundation, he was not happy. He said, "I'm not happy. I don't think we have achieved enough. What I set out to do. Yes, we achieved unity. Yes, we are free. Yes, we are independent. Yes, but our people are still poor, still illiterate.
Where do we go wrong?
So where do we go wrong?" He asked that question. And on unity, when he was departing, there were all these challenges everywhere. And I think somebody asked him a question, and he said, "Well, I think our role now as founders of nations in Africa is to deal with these, to distinguish these fires, to extinguish these fires." The time he was talking about DRC, Central African Republic, and the rest of it in Africa, to try and extinguish the fires. Here, today, he departed saying, "I'm not very happy." He was talking about Nyufa. You remember his speech about Nyufa?
Yes.
That was an expression of some kind of dissatisfaction.
Correct.
There are
The cracks.
cracks in our house. What are they about? Constitution, you're not observing Constitution. You're not very observant about the rule of law, and so many other things. He listed them. The union, I see that you're not really observing what should strengthen the union. So he said a few things. But I think generally he would, those notwithstanding, he will still say Tanzania is there. united, actually united, and fairly peaceful. Still underdeveloped, yes, but he could see we are struggling, especially under the fifth regime.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they are serious about tackling things like corruption, against which Mwalimu spoke very loudly. Corruption, embezzlement, developing infrastructure, many of the evils which bad leadership. I think he will be gleaning a little bit about that. I don't think he will be 100% happy.
You think Tanzania as a country, are we doing enough to really honor the great works of Mwalimu and his legacy?
I think Tanzanians as a whole, we are aware of Mwalimu's contribution to building of this nation, establishing. That one we are aware.
Is it not just a selected group of people, selected, our parents, you are aware. But if you bring on a young person today and you ask them, Mwalimu, what do you remember of him, they'll probably not even be able to give you a sentence.
Yes, that's true. I've met quite a few who say we've heard about Mwalimu, but we don't know much about Mwalimu. That is true. Let me say one thing about Tanzania. We are very poor at keeping history.
Correct.
Record keeping, very poor. Even if you visited our museum, we don't have a good national museum here. Nothing. We are very poor. We have not written much. Our historians have not written much. The party has not written much. I have not written. We don't write. South Africa, they write quite a lot. The South Africans themselves, they have a culture of reading and writing. Not everybody, but the elite, they read and write. And also the external factor, they help them also write because of what they admire Mandela very much. He saved them from apartheid.
Correct.
So Tanzania is aware that Mwalimu has been aware. Not the details they don't know, because nothing has been written and nothing is taught about him in the school. That's the worst thing. Anymore.
Correct.
Not at any level. It's so political. It's so political. Yeah. It's emotional, but not actually teaching. You said what really Mwalimu meant by the word ujamaa. They won't tell you. But he died saying, I'm going as Mjamaa. And I'm sure you're going to come back to the Arusha Declaration.
And here we are.
I think we are back there.
Yes. I asked that question particularly because is it then upon the foundation to ensure that, we remain abreast of what Mwalimu did in the past through ensuring that we have a robust...
In our articles of incorporation, we have a program area to study the principles and practices of Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere during his lifetime. So we have that huge program to carry out, and the way we've been talking about it, whenever you call me, I come and talk about Nyerere, what they do. But officially, we want to establish a leadership training institute here. We call it Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation Leadership and Management Training Institute.
Leadership and Management
Training Institute.
Okay.
We'll start in a modest way in this new building, which we are going to open, I think, next month.
Okay.
And we hope to be able to bring people there in small numbers, 50, 30, 20, 100, short courses, one day to 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3, to first to study the history of our country, to study principles that Mwalimu used to establish this nation, and which have enabled us to enjoy the peace and the unity we are enabling now, the relative peace and unity we are enjoying now, and to study the policies we have been trying to implement. The Arusha Declaration is a major document. We are going to look at it. Our relations with foreign countries, we look at it. But we'll also look at ourselves as Tanzanians. why are we where we are today, and especially education for self-reliance. Look at our own history and tradition, see the common denominator that we can design and use it to move a little bit faster than we have done before. We want to look at our development, people-centered, and the majority of people are in the rural areas. We want to look at that in the context of industrialization and agriculture, where Mwalimu was very strong, agriculture and industrialization for people-centered development. Can we do more, better than we are doing now? Take these industries to the people, add value to their products, add value to those cotton producers, so that instead of selling one item, cotton in a bag, in a gunia, she's able to sell 4 items: the lint, the oil, the cake, and in the field, whatever he cuts, you can process and get in more feed. So you say
The value chain approach.
Value chain approach. If industrialization does not tackle problems in that sense, in the rural problem in that sense, I don't think we are going to move. And that's what Mwalimu was insistent on.
This leadership and management institute, is it going to be taught by the lecturers that we find at our universities and schools, or is it going to be taught by the people like you who truly are the bearers of the torch that Mwalimu had lit during your time?
It will be taught by people from any of those groups, provided those who will be managing the institution will be sure that they qualify to teach. It's going to be a people-centered leadership institute to help whoever will be going through that institute to develop leadership skills that enable them to be closer to the people and be able to lead in the interests of the people on challenges and problems that are relevant to the life of the people, and help them move out of the problems and challenges we are facing now. We think there is an area there. There's at the local level, but at the international level, it will be the same people who know the world, but we can also design specific issues and problems in the world which are relevant to us. For example, we talk about trade and investment.
Yes.
Trade for us is what we sell to the outside world and what we buy from them. And therefore, when the balance of trade should leave us some money with which to use to develop further. But in that system, what we sell cheap. What we buy expensive. And in either direction, we have no say in the prices they give us, and the prices they give us for goods, and the prices we take from them. In that system, that's what Mwalimu was talking about. In the international economic system, we lose. And our poverty lies there. Not many of our people do recognize that.
Okay.
And if they recognize, those who recognize it, just take it for granted. But it is the most serious issue of a relationship between the rich and the poor.
Okay.
Come back here, it's the same. We are beginning to talk in this foundation about a new national economic order. And it is the same. We in the center, we take more from the periphery. We take more from the rural. When you are a cotton buyer and you buy this one item, what do you give to this rural cotton producer? Very little.
Correct.
Yeah. They never get the maximum return on their labor from their area of production and from their product. They get the minimum. And in that system, they remain poor forever. And and we have not addressed it here. We've not addressed it. We want as a leadership to talk about it. If you talk about those who are the elite in the universities, I have a lot of them here. I'm one of them. Ministers, they don't seem to realize that is the issue, and it is the most difficult issue.
It is.
So, and you have to gear that education, whether political or formal education or informal education, to solve that problem. That is the real meaning of self-reliance.
How best can Tanzania, as a nation, or the youth watching this program, honor the legacy of Mwalimu? How best can we take it further?
I think as individual Tanzanians and also as Tanzanians collectively, we have to try and understand the real legacy of Mwalimu and the heritage he has left with us. He was a believer. He died saying, I'm a believer, I own nothing of ideas or philosophy or what, I'm just a believer. And a believer basically in a human being, in the equality of people. He was a believer, believing that you and me, you and him, if you are alive, you, if you can imagine where he is, you are equal as human beings in your human rights and the integrity of the people. That is where he stood. And all his work was based on that one. And that is the major principle, human equality. And coming from it, then it has rights, it was respect, it was education, health, development, that gave opportunity to everybody. That one, Tanzanians, we don't see. And that's what he meant. That's what he meant by talking about ujamaa, a way of life, which is just you are living as I am living in Tanzania as one family. Your family, my family, Mwalimu Nyerere's family, his family, put together, you see, you create ethnic groups, put together, you create tribes, and then tribes put together by colonialists, and we become Tanzania. But basically, we are a family. So he was a believer in the equality of men as seen, as practiced in the family. And you take life, that life from bottom, take it up to the nation, to the international level. His work is based on that one. Okay. If we can struggle to understand that, then we will appreciate.
The world is dynamic. Does socialism hold water today, or the spirit of socialism in the world, which is corrupted by capitalism? I'm saying corrupted because capitalism has taken many forms today in the world, different forms. You know, you mentioned about insecurity. You mentioned about unsustainable peace. These are all brought by dynamisms of the world in the capitalism era. Do we still hold ground, or do we still have the ground for socialism, at least in our hearts?
Human life is social.
Okay.
Yeah, we seem to be denying ourselves. That when you think of a capitalist system, a system that exploits him, exploits me, exploits you, and causes conflict, and that's why it is best. Perpetually it is in conflict. That's what you see around the world. That's what you see in the United States, what you see in Western Europe. Nice things, yes, nice roads, yes, nice buildings, yes, but in spirit, they are quarreling, they are fighting, they are killing one another, they are not stable. The other day I heard in the United States that 38 million school children will not get lunch in the school because their parents could not afford. Can you imagine that one? So I'm saying we are trying to deny ourselves. Life is social. And what is socialism? The way we live, the way we get our food, the way we get our money, you get your shoes, you work. But you work in cooperation with the others.
Correct.
Tanzania, what is it? We say, is Kenya really capitalist or socialist?
Capitalist.
It is capitalist in imagination. But actually, Kenya, all these countries, even the United States, these are social countries. You see what they do. In education, they share. In infrastructure, they share. They live together. That's what they try and do. But the economic organization is capitalist, organized to benefit the few, to exploit the minority, exploiting the majority. How many rich people are in the United States? Let's come back here. Before President Magufuli, Mwalimu tried it, but then in between where some were rich and so on, people had a lot of money, they are dishing it, they are buying petrol for the people, and so they're putting cars, fine. And then we had this, trickle down effect on the people. So many people I meet there, they say, we don't have money these days. I say, where did the money go? The money is still there. It was going in the pockets of very few people.
Correct.
Yeah, very few people. And you see what was going to happen. The majority was going to go without money as it is now. It has been taken away from these people who had it, the few. It's put in a bank there. It's building schools and so on. But money from you, money from me, which goes into a commercial bank for lending, it is not there. Because why? We are all poor. We have not worked enough to contribute to that.
The Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation, what are the plans? You've mentioned the institute. Do you have any other plans, future plans, especially in ensuring that the generations do not bury Mwalimu for the second time? We are taking his legacy down with him, which I'm sure, and you'll agree with me, is not the right thing to do.
We have a strategic plan here. We've been using one, but we are reviewing it.
Okay.
It is all that we are saying. We are going to summarize it there in that strategic plan, vision, as you see here, vision. So we work and do research and so on, and the rest of it. So, but the focus, that's the most important thing. Everything, the focus. What are we going to be focusing on? One is education.
Okay.
General education and skills education. To help our people accept and understand the importance of education and technological development.
Okay.
And go in and help the government also, bring them on board to be a little bit probably more serious than probably we are today about that area of education. And education for what? For development. And we are going to be looking at development. We are going to be looking at a people-centered development. And we are going to focus on us and our population in agriculture, and we say, and industrialization, and value addition for people in the rural. That's where we are going to focus. Do what? Talk, teach, share views, influence policy. So the government is now working on a new, I think, policy for agriculture. Yeah. We think this whole idea of industrialization, but people-centered, not city-centered.
Correct.
And value addition, so that more comes out of that industrialization into the pockets of our people. So you improve not only a GDP, but you also improve your GDP per capita or GNP per capita.
Correct.
That is a focus. Let's remain people, Tanzanians and Africans. Let us educate ourselves to build capacity to contribute to our own development on the basis of self-reliance, and therefore to contribute and play a role in Africa and the world on the basis of human equality and justice. And that's what we want to help to engage in as partners, work for human equality and human rights and justice for all. I think that is the legacy, if you're talking about legacy, that is the heritage Mwalimu would have wanted to live with us. And I think in terms of philosophy and principles, he succeeded. That's why Tanzania is what it is today.
He laid the foundation for that.
One nation, United Nation, people respecting one another, challenges notwithstanding.
You were watching the Monday Agenda, and today we came and visited the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation, and I was honored to have the interview with the Executive Director, Mr. Joseph Butiku, looking onto the legacy and how we can enhance, take it further, take it forward so that generations remember the contribution that Mwalimu did to our nation, to Africa, and the world at large. The take that I have today is to honor, to carry forward the legacies by promoting and advocating for peace and unity, and it starts with you. So with this few remarks, I would really wish to thank you, Mr. Butiku. Thank you for watching the Monday Agenda. Until next time, I'm your host, Austin Makani. Thank you.